I'm Ariana Grande.
Hi, I'm Cynthia Erivo.
And you're listening to the Broadway Podcast Network.
Visit bpn.fm to discover more.
There's a cat over here. There's a cat over there. And the wrong one died. And the wrong one died.
Welcome to The Wrong Cat Died, the podcast breakdown of the catastrophe. I'm your host, Mike Abrams, and today we have another amazing guest. Previously, she was a swing and Tantomile on the U.S. National Tour 5 of Cats in 2011 and did it regionally multiple times, but you can currently see her at the Hudson Theater in the Ensemble of Once Upon a Mattress. So welcome, Amanda LaMotte, and thank you for joining me.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
I'm excited to have you because I've talked to a lot of your Tour 5 cast, and y'all have been so fun. And you have some wild stories from your production. So I'm excited to hear a little bit about that. And then I'm super excited to talk about Once Upon a Mattress because it's a hilarious and fun show that I'm excited for people to hopefully learn more about or go see if they haven't already. But we got to start with Cats. So
absolutely.
I want to start with your history and genesis and the introduction to Cats. So when was your first time seeing it, learning about it, knowing about it?
I think when I auditioned for the show, I didn't really know it. I didn't grow up watching the TV show. I mean, the movie. Yeah, I didn't really know it. I just knew it was dancing around like cats. I knew some of the music kind of. But when I was in college, I auditioned for the show and went through a bunch of callbacks and then got the job. And I was like, I guess I'm going to be a cat.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sure.
So when you audition for something like that, I mean, you're auditioning for lots of stuff. Did you prep any differently knowing that it was cats? Like that there is that like nuance of you are a cat versus, acting as a human in other shows?
So I was still in school, and my senior year, second semester, the seniors all went to something called SETC, which is like a big conference of regional theaters, and a lot of like touring producers will come. And I auditioned just generally for literally anyone that was there. And I got called back from the casting company from Troika to come to New York and go to the Cats audition. So my initial audition was just kind of a general audition.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. It's like, hey, we think you are ready to be a cat based on your audition. Okay. So you go on tour basically right after school then?
Yes, I did.
And you were a swing and Tantomile. What's it like first job, really first big contract doing a swing track where it is, I mean, you covered 4, 5, 6 different kittens, cats?
So, well, first I was a child actor, so I had been on tour before.
Okay.
And I had worked professionally for a while before college, but it was my first like big girl adult job.
Yeah.
And I didn't really know what I was getting myself into swinging, but I've always been the person who knew not only what I was doing, but what everyone else was doing without even trying. So I felt like, I guess I could do this.
Yeah.
I think the hardest thing I found with swinging is that I wasn't on stage all the time.
Yes.
And we sang in the vocal booth when we weren't on stage. And so it was hard to continue learning and remembering the tracks that you weren't working on because you were doing another job at the same time. And then as you mentioned, I was also Tantomile. We had 3 sets of swings that were paired up by height. And every 2 shows, we would switch off who was Tantomile and Corker-Pat. So we shared the role of Tantomile, Corker-Pat, but then we're swings the rest of the time for whatever tracks we covered. So I covered Victoria and Rumple and Silly.
Okay. So what do you remember, or we're going back into the vault of memory here, of what they tell you? I love getting into like the plot and the backstories of cats. And when you're swinging, you're learning for cats. And so did you spend like a lot of time trying to create your own version of each one? Or what do you remember about them telling you about personalities for each one?
I mean, I definitely remember, that Tantomile and Corker-Pat were kind of magical a little bit. They have a sixth sense that they can foresee things ahead of time. They're very connected spiritually. I remember Rumple Teaser, she's kind of a little brat, and she's the one who is causing the trouble and very mischievous, and she's kind of a teenager, so she's pushing the boundaries. Syllabub is the tiniest, the youngest, the most innocent and naive. And then Victoria is coming of age and discovering who she is in the world and what she wants and all those things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And did you think a lot about that when you were going on as a swing? Like, how much when you went on and you put on the different costume, you're like, okay, I got to think about being this character today much more than like, I got to be in this spot with this dance number, with this track to sing?
I've swung a few times, and I think that initially, the first few times you go on, you have to, yes, think about those things, but it is so important for the safety of your company for you to be really aware of what is my spot? What am I doing? I have to be there first and foremost.
Yeah.
And as much as you can layer in of the others, that's great. But it is more important that first time that you go on, that you are safe and that you are doing exactly the right thing and your thinking cap is on, screwed very tightly.
Yeah.
And then once you become comfortable, you can play more and you can create more of your own version of those characters. But initially, it is about being 100% correct.
Yeah. It's such a different like brain to be able to do that and be able to, like, I've heard a lot of swings who do Bomb Ballerina and Demeter. And I'm like, to do those on back-to-back nights or even just like matinee evening and switch the characters, it's like you're doing the same thing in reverse.
Yes.
And so it's just like, a fascinating thing and a cool part of theater too, is that being able to have that, because the show has to go on and you need people to do that. And, but in Cats, like, there's such different personalities.
Yeah.
I always think like, oh, you've got to be like, do you have a different day and warm up routine to kind of get like a little bit more bratty when you're going to go on for Rumple Teaser?
No, I found I really identified with Rumple.
that was easy.
Yep, that one was fun.
Okay. I want to hear, before we get into the regional ones, your tour 5 over, I've talked to a lot of people in the cast, and I went for like 15 or 20 years. Like, I went for a long time. So there's been a wide range of it, but it seems like the area and the time you were in, you all had some crazy stories. So I want to hear and remember, like, what do you remember about being on tour and some of the fun kind of memorable moments for you when you were out on the road?
I don't know. First of all, I'm really serious. So whenever people were getting in trouble, I was usually not.
Okay.
The things I remember are like, where were we? I don't know where we were, but we were in an ice rink for some reason. And they built a stage on top of the ice rink. And I don't know, everything was metal. So basically we were dancing on ice the entire time because the floor was cold. Our stage was cold and frozen. And there was something else about like the doors couldn't close. And we were like in Wisconsin or somewhere cold and the doors couldn't close. So it was freezing inside. We were on an ice rink and we're trying to do Cats, which I don't know if you know, it's like physical.
Yeah.
And you'd like to stay warm. And we're laying on the floor all the time. So you're basically laying on ice and trying to do the show. We are like, what is happening? What are we doing? Thankfully, I think that was a one-nighter. So we got out of there quickly.
Yeah.
We did like a drag show in Seattle. That was very fun and a wild night.
As like the show or just in general?
Like all the cast organized.
Oh, fun.
To perform at a bar and do a drag show.
Separate. So this is like not
on our own accord.
Okay. You all really lived the life.
You got to. You're out on the road and that becomes your social network and you find things to be fun and entertain yourself.
Yeah. I love, so you got to back up here though. You said that you weren't the troublemaker and you are usually the one there, but you identify most with Rumple Teaser, who's a little bit of a troublemaker.
Okay. So here's the thing is that I feel like I always have intrusive thoughts of like, man, I do really want to knock that person's water bottle over just to mess with them. But I would never do it in real life. But as Rumple, you kind of get to. And so my favorite thing was like, I loved tying people's tails together. Or like I would collect the misto dots and I would put them in their warmers. I just liked causing trouble.
So you liked Rumple Teaser because you got to do all the things that that Amanda wouldn't do.
Yeah.
That's fun. That's okay. I love that. That's kind of a fun like part of being a performer is you get to embrace a personality that you might otherwise not.
Exactly.
Okay. What about the other characters? Like, did you try to be way more cerebral and like spooky when you were going on for Tantomile?
Yeah, I think so. And I think, it's so funny. Craig Donnelly, who played Corkapat whenever I was on, just came and danced with me this morning. So it's
nice.
funny that he's in my world today. I think we used to really love to try to basically play the mirror game for 2 hours and try to meld minds and be twins that could read each other's thoughts. And we did. We tried to embody that different spirit of something a little mystical.
I love it. All right, we got to walk through the regional experiences too, because those are fun. So I think you said you've done it 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
Walk me through them and who you played and kind of where you were.
Yeah, I think the first time I did it again was in Auburn, New York at Maryground Playhouse. Jacob Brent was the choreographer and director. He reset the original choreography. And I played Rumple. And Will Porter, who I think you've had on the show before, played
Mungo. Yeah.
Yes. And we had so much fun, but also I don't know if he told you, we went to the hospital, the two of us together.
Yes. Will had stories. Will's episode goes into a lot of fun and crazy stories. Yeah.
Yeah.
Will's
so
ready.
you can rewind the episodes and find out why we went to the hospital. He ended up with stitches in his face. That was crazy.
Yeah.
But we had a really good time. It was really fun to work with Jacob because it was a different perspective on the show. Very similar to what Richard sets, but just another avenue to go down and more things to learn about the show, which was really fun. And, the tiny differences in the choreography that will really, really mess with your brain when you've been doing it for a year right ahead. And then I immediately, I think right after Maryground, went back and did another production with Richard. So then I was like, I don't know which is which and my brain hurts. But
yeah. So you have to go in and they're not huge changes, but enough that you've done, it's like muscle memory and you've got to break it and relearn it.
Correct.
Do you remember any of those points? What particularly stood out as this change was something I had to fix?
I feel like there's a moment in Copeland that Richard 2, 3, 4, and 5. He hits the 5 and Jacob hits the and it's just the tiniest little bit to mess with your brain to be like, do I go now or do I go later?
Yeah. That's fascinating because I've talked to some people who have done the Gillian Lynn choreography and the Andy Blankenbuehler choreography. So they've been on both versions depending on when they did it, either regionally or on tour. And I've heard some differences between just the way people phrase it when it was in England, the British version versus the American version. But I hadn't thought too much about the tweaks between a Jacob and a Richard and all the other people that I've done it over the years.
Yeah. And sometimes that's one of them remembered it feeling a certain way in their body and it kind of has morphed and changed over the years. Or, Jillian might have changed it halfway through.
Yeah.
Or there are, I've been on long running shows where in the beginning you're like, okay, this is what we're doing. And halfway through, they're like, that's kind of weird. Can you change it just a little bit? And now that becomes the new correct way. Mm-hmm. But it was different in the beginning.
Yeah. Was there any difference in the storytelling or the way that they told you to play the character? Or was it all more of just choreography?
No, it was pretty similar.
Okay.
The direction was pretty similar.
And then did you ever set it in kind of a weird place? Because it's, it's always a junkyard, but I've definitely heard some regional ones where it's an arcade or a gym, or I think Will had a pretty crazy one that he did regionally.
No, it was always the junkyard with the what number license plate are you? And,
okay. So after that one, walk me through the rest of them.
Oh, you're testing my memory of the order here. I think then I went to Lubbock, Texas, and I did it in Lubbock, Texas. And Todrick Hall was our Rum Tum Tugger.
Okay.
That was an interesting experience. It was not set by Richard or Jacob. It was set by someone who was not super immersed in the world. So that did have some different storytelling perspectives. And a lot of times, sometimes those of us that had done the show, we were like, that's not actually what happens now. And we would have a little meeting to say, this is what's actually happening in the show. And she'd be like, oh, okay. And I think we did their own original choreography. I can't even remember. It was very fast. That's what I remember. It was like we were there for 3 weeks total, rehearsal and shows all in.
Okay. And Todrick Hall was your tugger. Yeah. Super fun. And that was short, you said, just like...
It was very short.
Very quick.
But somehow Todrick had us doing all kinds of music videos.
Yeah, of course.
In that short amount of time.
Yeah, I mean, you have to, right? Like that's the best part about Cats is you've got the best social media platform in the moment to do.
Although this was a while ago, there wasn't that much social media.
Yeah, but Todrick was doing YouTube videos.
True.
I think 10 years ago, I remember seeing like the one of the first like Beauty and the Beast parody ones that they did.
Yes,
and
this was shortly after that.
Okay. Somehow this did not make it on my radar. I'm gonna have to go hunt those down now. Okay, so that was Texas, and most of these just things that you are getting kind of reached out to, knowing that you've done a lot of these tracks, or these things that you are just in auditions for as a professional.
So I auditioned for the whole season at Merry-Go-Round Playhouse.
Okay,
and Jacob knew Chaz Walcott, who I think maybe also has been on your show.
Yeah.
And Chaz was like, this is who you need to play Rumple. She's fantastic. We did the tour together. And so Jacob then was fighting for me to be there the whole season.
Oh, cool.
And I ended up doing the whole season there because Jacob wanted me to do Rumple, which was great. Thanks, Jacob.
Yeah.
And then I got to do a whole bunch of shows there that whole summer.
Oh, amazing. Okay.
I did not audition for Lubbock. I think that was another person being like, oh, I worked with and you should hire her. And then North Carolina Theater, Richard called and asked me to do the show. Yeah. Because that's another really quick one. It's like you're there for 3 weeks total. And so he needed people who already knew the show.
Yeah. It's fun to hear all of these things. It's like, so this podcast is now about 5 years old. And as I've learned more, and I've heard about more regional productions that pop up, it seems like they want a foundation of like at least 2 or 3 people that have done some version of this over in their career. Cause it makes it a little easier to like, all right, we have some people we can lean on who maybe they're in a new role, but they get the story. They know most of the choreography. And so it seems like some are sought out and others are, part of a full audition process. So as someone that's in the family, it's like you're in the Cats family now. Like you get that call a little bit more frequently.
And also I think that it takes a special spirit to be like, yeah, I'll crawl around on the floor and be a cat and I will commit to that. And once you find people who are willing to be a little bananas and do that, then it's helpful to keep them around.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's physically demanding and especially on a short turnaround, like it's a lot to learn for a couple weeks or a month. You
never leave the stage really. So it's a full 2.5 hours of movement. Okay.
So there's those 3. Is there any others that you remember? It's bad that
I think that's it.
You remember the regional theaters, none other. Any fun, like crazy, memorable stories from those 3?
I mean, I feel bad outing her, but our syllabub at Merry-Go-Round, she ran into, as we came out as mice, she ran into the set and gave herself a concussion.
Oh, wow.
So for the rest of the show, she was like, kind of not right. We were like, are you okay? Are you okay? And then she ended up going to the hospital and having a concussion and was out of the show. And obviously, Will and I went to the hospital. That show was just kind of like, a lot happened. I feel like everyone was hurt. Everyone was injured.
There are a lot of injuries, it sounds like, because if you're also in the wrong place, you can get kicked and you can get moved. Like there's just, you're all together and on top of each other so much that just like one, like you were saying, like you have to be so precise as a swing and just in general, because one move and you're in the hospital or you're running into something or you're, a boot drops or, there's just so much that's always there. And you're doing it in a different place every week in most cases, which adds another element. So I've heard a lot of injury stories, which aren't funny, but you look back on them, it's like those are very memorable because of like oh wow, I can't believe that even happened.
Yeah, I feel really lucky that I didn't have any injuries in all my time of Cats. I'm not sure how that's possible. But also when you're swinging, it saves your body too in a way that you're not doing it 8 shows a week usually. And so you kind of are spared some of the wear and tear.
Yeah.
Nice.
We're going to take a quick break and then we'll be back for more of The Wrong Cat Died. Okay, I want to pivot to Once Upon a Mattress. So I love that you're in the show. I remember actually when we were talking, because we were talking for a while, and you're like, I'm going into rehearsals soon, and did not mention that you were going to rehearsals for Once Upon a Mattress. So we're very excited. It is, doing a run here in the Hudson Theater. So first of all, tell me a little bit about like, what can people expect who've seen it? Because obviously this is a material that some people are going to know. Like there's been versions of it over the years, but this is one that kind of seems like spawned from the New York City Center, and then is now here for a run on Broadway.
Yeah. So I did the show at City Center as well, and earlier in the year. I think that, well, first of all, if you don't know anything about Once Upon a Mattress, the show was written in 3 weeks at basically an adult summer camp. So it's some friends who were trying to make each other laugh and trying to just have some fun. It wasn't really ever expected to be something that every high school in America does and be a big hit. But then when the show opened with Carol Burnett, they're like, oh, wow, people really like this.
Yeah.
And I think that something that's important about the show is, I mean this with all the love and respect, the writing is thin.
Yeah.
The plot is thin. And so it really is dependent what the show is going to be like on your cast.
Yeah.
And it's very fun, even from City Center to Broadway, watching our different mix of principals and even our ensemble and how the show has morphed and changed based on the people who are in the show. Lear DeBessinet, who is our director, was really free in allowing people to play and try new things. And I think that really allowed people to create a world that made sense to us, which is really fun.
Mm-hmm. And what's the transition been like from City Center to Broadway, where you have more, City Center's a couple weeks?
Yeah.
And then now you're doing this for months at a time. Yeah.
Well, first of all, we only had like 10 days of rehearsal or something crazy like that for Broadway.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Because we were transferring, but we had about 50% new cast.
Wow.
So it was a really fast process. And then we only had, I think, like 3 days of tech. It was pretty insane for a Broadway rehearsal schedule. It was really, really fast. And so I feel like now we've been open, I think last night was show 51. And I feel like we've hit our stride now and people have settled in a good way. And we've started to find the heart of the show even more deeply because we've had some time. And that's not normal. I feel like normally you have a long rehearsal process and you have figured it out by the time you open.
Yeah. It is different coming in that, like the transfer where it was, I don't know, I don't want to say unexpected, but it's just like, it wasn't planned of like, oh, we're definitely finishing this and going right there. It's this did really well. People loved it. Let's run it longer and get more people to have the opportunity to see it, which is, I think what's really cool is being able to kind of take that and then expand on it and really build into it. And cast is amazing. And so I'm seeing it in next week. So I cannot wait. But I believe I saw a version of this a long time ago. One thing I want to do though, I want to cast the Once Upon a Mattress cast as cats because I've done this with almost every show and it's super fun. These don't all line up perfectly, and I'm going off of either my deep memory from years and years and years ago, plus what I read online. But I like to say, okay, if this character, which cat would play them? So like just thinking personality only. So I want to go through, who do you want to start with? Which character in Once Upon a Mattress do you want to start with? Who do you think lines up best?
I feel like the king, maybe it's just because it's David Patrick Kelly, but I feel like he is Old Deuteronomy.
Okay. I said Old Deuteronomy or Gus. I felt like I had to be one of those two.
Yeah. Or Gus. I could see Gus.
It's got to be one of those two.
Then I also kind of think the Jester is maybe Gus.
Oh, interesting.
He knows everything.
Jester I had trouble with. I kind of felt a little Mistopheles reading for the Jester, but...
Yeah, but then I think that's the Wizard.
Yeah, the Wizard was one I didn't know. I kind of thought the Wizard was either Mistopheles or I thought it was going to be like a Carbuckety or a Tumblebrutus, like somebody in that age, in that range. But, yeah. Okay, what about Lady Larkin and Sir Harry?
All the characters are so troubled in Cats.
Yeah.
Like, maybe she's Victoria.
That's what I wrote. That's what I have.
Yeah.
That Victoria.
Yeah. And he's maybe like, I don't know. Strangely, I kind of want to say Skimble.
Oh, I didn't think about it. Skimble's a good guy.
Because he's not fair. He's like, but maybe Skimble's too smart.
I had Monkish Trap, but that's also probably too smart.
Oh, yeah, too smart. Too in charge.
Yeah.
Because, like, the Jester could also be Monkish Trap because we're in, like, narrator kind of territory.
Mm-hmm. What about the Prince and Princess?
I feel like Dauntless is, like, Tumble.
Oh, interesting.
At least in our production. So Michael Urie is very wide-eyed, and he has a lot of physical comedy in the show, which is what makes me think of Tumble.
I had both of them as Mungo Jerry Rumple Teaser because it just feels
Sure.
similar physical comedy, a lot of similar kind of like quirkiness and personality in there.
I could be on board with that.
And what about the Queen?
I think I want to say she's Grisabella.
Okay.
But Grisabella is redeemed in the end.
Yeah.
The Queen is just kind of like,
It's not.
she is awful.
Yeah. That's why I went with McCavity.
Oh, yeah, McCavity.
But I like Grisabella. That's better for my argument here. Let's just not redeem Grisabella at all. What would you like when someone comes to see the show? What are you hoping they get out of their night?
Joy.
Just joy. Just go have a good time.
We talked a lot in rehearsal about the world is very full of strife at the moment. And the reason why, like, why do Once Upon a Mattress? Why revive it again?
Yeah.
And it feels like there's not a lot of happy on Broadway right now. There's not a lot of joy on Broadway of like silliness.
Yeah.
Maybe you find joy somewhere in there, but there's not that much conflict in our show. It's a pee under the mattress and people wanting to get married. And I think that the thing we hear the most at the stage door is, I haven't laughed this hard in a really long time. And it's so refreshing to come to this show and laugh and forget about the world for a minute. And that's what we set out to do. And I'm really excited that's what people feel.
Yeah. I love that. I'm a big fan of, like, as someone who didn't grow up in New York and didn't grow up going to theater like religiously, I look for shows like that. Like, I love the shows where it's just like, let me go have a good time. Like, let's just go enjoy the night versus I've seen plenty of, especially some plays and some stuff. They're phenomenal and well done, but I'm like, I need a drink after that experience. And like, not the happy way. Like, I need to decompress before I take the subway home and go to sleep. Like, and I like okay, that was just fun. I had a good time. I laughed. Performances are great. And let's now go to sleep happy.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that. So that's great for everyone. Let's go back to do some Cats rapid fire here to close us out before I ask you the most important question. Okay. If you could go on for one night for any cat today, who would you want to perform as?
I'd be like, still Rumple.
Still want to go? Yeah. Okay. Who are your favorite and least favorite cats personality wise? Meaning, like, who would you like to hang out with and who would bug you to hang out with?
Honestly, Misto can get over himself. I'm sorry to all my past Mistos, but like, you have a whole song about how magical and amazing you are.
You spent way too much time with Will. Will.
Did he say the same thing?
Not only did he say the same thing, he emailed me after saying, I don't think I conveyed enough how much I hate Mistopheles and asked me to add more in for him.
That's
so I think,
perfect.
Yeah, here, Mungo Jerry, you spent way too much time with him. He just, you two had it out for him.
We had worked together before too. We did a chorus line together
I love it.
at another regional theater.
Okay, so no Mistopheles. Who do you love? Who would be your best friend?
Okay, like, is it Amanda's best friend or is it Rumple Teaser's best friend?
Amanda's.
I feel like Victoria. She's like, she's still like spunky and playful, but she still is like a little serious and paying attention and doing the right thing. But she likes to be kind. And I think she fights for what she thinks is right. I like her.
Love it.
She's my girl.
What's your favorite song in Cats?
Oh, McCavity.
The best, right?
McCavity back up all day long. That's the best choreo to dance. It's the most fun to sing. Yes.
I love it. Okay, if we could stick one cat into the plot of Once Upon a Mattress, who are you putting in and what are they doing?
These are hard questions. I feel like we could really use Tumble somewhere in there messing things up.
Okay.
Like, he could be inside the bed.
Yeah.
We could make him do the Spanish Panic. Yes.
Okay, so just Tumble's going to come in and wreak havoc.
Yeah.
I like it.
I think she would love to play with Tumble Brutus.
Yeah. Okay.
Could be her pet.
Yeah. Okay, there's a lot you could do with that. I like it. Okay, my important question. I have argued at length. I do not think Grisabella is the right Jolko choice. So I'd like to hear from you, Amanda, who is your Jolko choice and why?
Gus.
Gus. Picks Gus. Immediately.
Yeah.
I love it. I need more Gus votes.
He lived his life. He's ready. It's his time. But also, he stayed within the tribe and he gives back to the young ones, and he has magical stories that he shared. And yeah, Gus. Perfect.
I have no further questions. You have voted the way that I want more people to vote.
Is that your pick?
I think Gus is, well, let me ask you this question, because I think this is an important question. What's the criteria to go to the heaviside layer?
I think that it's the person who should, or the cat, who should be the role model, should uphold what the tribe should carry forward, and why we all band together under the Jellicle Moon.
Yes. So I think that's the crux of the question. And depending on how you answer that question, which your answer then is Gus, like the way you explained it would be Gus. I saw a lot of younger Grisabellas, just performer-wise. And so I'd never liked the idea of, I like the redemption story, but like, why immediately exile her from her family? I'm like, God, it's so great. They like finally are letting her back in, and it's like, all right, bye. Like, no, spend a year. She can go next year. So in that case, to me, it is Gus. I do like my original joke when I saw Leona Lewis. And so I just thought it was the X Factor. And so then it's like, if you're voting based off of like which arc and story, like Grisabella will make a case. They put a really good like pre-song package of like her trials and troubles before. But I'm like, they did a lot of One Direction, Fifth Harmony in the X Factor, of where it's like, we're going to take some solo acts and make them together. So I'm putting Tugger and Mustopheles together. They're going to be a little boy band type of thing. And I'm sending them up because those were some of the like things I remember most.
Okay, fair.
But I think it depends on that question.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there's a right answer. My guess is no. But did your cast ever question the Jellicle choice in any of your productions?
I don't think in any at-length conversation.
No.
Like, never even this in-depth, maybe in passing jokes, but...
Yeah. You never wanted to go on the tire. You never like, it's Rumple's turn.
Amanda wanted to go on the tire.
Yeah.
I wanted to ride the tire.
Yeah. See? Why can't you have a day?
Yeah.
I think we should have an audience vote.
Justice.
Here's my plan. I've pitched this to Chaz and a couple other people hard, and I want this to happen. So I'm just going to keep saying it on the show until eventually someone lets us do it. Is that when we do a regional production or you do a tour, it would be hard to do a full tour, but I think it's possible to do a 3 or 4 week regional production where I want audience voting, like American Idol, either digitally because we all have our phones, or even just round of applause. Because what's going to happen, which I love, is you do the entire show exactly the same. Grisabella gets her memory, it gets accepted back in, but then you just stop. And right at that moment, you have the ability to then stop and let the audience vote. And imagine your whole family and friends and everyone came that night. And you're on as Tantomile. You still might get that vote. And the only change is then you go onto the tire and you go up. So you all have to be ready to be harnessed in or whatever that looks like. And then you can go up and then you can come back down and then you can do the final closing number and then you're done. But I love the idea of who brought it tonight, who has all their friends and family in there, who did the audience know? Because especially on tour, you're doing 8 shows a week. It can get tough. Like, it's got to be challenging to like keep that high energy every night. But if you're competing for the chance to be the winner, I think it brings some fun competition into things. And I think it brings like, oh, I'm going to go petition ahead of time to the audience. How fun would that be?
House Cats has a whole new situation. Now you're like literally making best friends with the audience.
Yeah, you're trying.
With you.
Vote for me. Yeah. See?
I like it. Raise the stakes.
I want somebody who's, I can't do any choreography or staging or anything. I know nothing else about this. I just have the idea. So I can come help with like, let me help with the tech of voting or where we can do that moment in there. But it's doable. And I know other shows have historically done some slight changes. I've heard of a chorus line where a different person gets cast, and I've heard some Edwin Drew, obviously, style thing. So I know it's possible. I just need somebody to take the chance.
You got to get the state to take the chance.
What do you mean?
Like the people with the right
for sure
show to let you do it.
And I have hope, though, because they just did the Performing Performing Arts Center. That was a lot of
totally
change,
new
like,
and
very different. And they said yes, and it was super successful and did really well. So I know they're not against this. Maybe against the my version, but they're not against taking some risks with the rights. So it's there. It's time. I need one director to take me up on it. Let's do it. I would probably fill the house at least one night myself if somebody actually says yes, because I've told so many people this idea. I would be like, all right, well, I've got some ticket sales for you ready.
Perfect.
Amazing. Well, this has been so fun. How can people stay in touch with you on social media and see you in Once Upon a Mattress?
Yeah, my social handle is at Tiny LaMotte, TinyLamotte. And you can come see Once Upon a Mattress. We're at the Hudson. We close November 30th. And then the whole show goes to LA, and we'll be at the Amundsen from December 10th to January 5th. You can just Google Once Upon a Mattress Broadway, and tickets will pop up. And I'll link it too in the description too. So you have an easy way to get there. But yes, everyone should go see the show if you're in New York or LA. And it's going to be a blast. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah. Thanks for coming on. And thanks for everyone else for listening to this episode of The Wrong Cat Died, the podcast breakdown the catastrophe. To follow along, you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any else as a podcast. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Threads if anybody uses that at The Wrong Cat Died, or check out our website, thewrongcatdied.com.